talk about that with one of our nominal males. I think he's a male. Is Michael? You identify as male, don't you?
I identify as, it depends. When I'm on my MSNBC show, I identify as a woman, but now I identify as a male.
You're a citizen of the sexual universe. I think that's, and also the host of the Michael Knowles show, which is for men and women both. I think.
Yeah, it depends on the day, but that's right.
So, I mean, one of the reasons I have a PragerU video out today called "Who Needs Feminism," and it's an attack on feminism. I'm an anti-feminist, and one of the reasons I hate feminism is because it blames men for things that are just part of nature, and it blames men for the journey of women to the place that they are now, which only happened because of men, because men invented things, because men had ideas that basically liberated women when the technology was available, and yet they hate us. Is it fair to say that feminism is selling an anti-male story?
How dare you? I am so offended. It's just like you men, you toxic men.
I forgot that you identify as something.
You didn't know what time it was. It is now true to say feminism is anti-male. Not just anti this guy or not just anti that guy, anti-male. And this was always the case. We would always say, oh, feminism, they seem to be so angry and against men and whatever. And they would say, well, that's not true. Feminism is this, feminism is that. It is now common among feminist Twitter and feminist articles to say hashtag men are trash.
Is it really?
Yeah, or hashtag hate men.
Yeah.
These are very common. It's true at every level. It's true from the activist level. It's true in the media. It's true in academia. It's true in politics, and it's true in the government. You have all of these examples. So I think the most blatant one comes from the media. It came out from the Washington Post fairly recently, from Susanna Danuta Walters, a professor of sociology and director of women's, gender, and sexuality studies at Northeastern University. She had a piece out that asked, "Why can't we hate men?" That was the headline.
Why not? Why not? Yeah.
And by the way, just in case you want to blame the editor of that piece and say it was just a titillating headline, she writes in the article, quote, "We have every right to hate you. You've done us wrong. Hashtag because patriarchy. It is long past time to play hard for team feminism and to win." It's not just the Washington Post. The New York Times recently hired Sarah Jeong to their editorial board. Sarah Jeong, I can't read everything that she wrote on Twitter because this is a family program, right. But she did say white men are bull. She said, "Oh man, it's sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men."
Wow.
Those are some of the more polite things that she's said about men. It goes on and on and on. There was an outcry from reasonable people, I mean to say conservatives, to say, "Are you really going to let this woman on your board?" They said, "Absolutely." And then Twitter, which is now censoring hate speech, gave her a little check mark because she's now a big important person.
You know, and whenever you accuse them of this, whenever you actually hold this stuff up to them, they always say, "Well, it's not all feminists. It's just this feminist here and that feminist there." But that to me is like a mobster saying, "We're not all hitmen. We only have one or two hitmen." But they control everybody. If you have these people and you don't denounce them, you're one of them. You're with them.
That's right. And you say it's not all feminists, it's just the public ones.
Yeah,
it's just the visible ones.
Yeah.
I would even say it's just their leaders, but it's not even just their leaders. It's leaders of feminists in all of these areas. So the one excuse, there's a magazine, I probably can't even say this on the air, a Female Dog magazine, and they said that, all of these things, hashtag hate all men, hashtag men are trash, it's just performative misandry. But well, it is certainly being performed, but then you look at people like that Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono, who says men need to shut up. It's time for them to shut their mouths and do something good for a change. Other than creating civilization. Other than that, other than forming our politics.
I mean, do you think she will pay any price for that with an electorate that I assume is half male?
Well, I think her poll numbers will go up because her base, I mean, Hawaii is quite far to the left, and so her base are these feminist men and women. And these, there were 1,600 men who took out an ad in the New York Times, full-page ad, to say that they believe all women and they're the good ones. They're not the bad guys. But it's all over the place. Even the ones who say we're just kidding. Huffington Post had a piece on this. What women mean when we say that men are trash is, quote, "It can actually be directly translated into masculinity is in transition and it's not moving effing fast enough." And this is what they're really talking about. This is where academia is coming in. This is where these Senator Hirono is coming in. Is they're saying no, it's not all of masculinity. It's toxic masculinity.
Oh, toxic.
You've heard that phrase.
Yes, toxic masculinity.
The CDC has studied toxic masculinity, and but what they define it as comes from hegemonic masculinity. This is a gender theory, which is that hegemonic masculinity from R.W. Connell, formerly Robert Connell. He's a transgender guy who's now an academic. And he says that it's the oppressive characteristics of masculinity boys and men must assume and perform to be considered a real man. Which is to say...
Like what? Defending the country and
right.
Putting out fires and things like that?
Going out, taking care of your family, I don't know. Yeah. And so that's what they're getting at. And then as a result of all this academia, all of this activism, we're getting these bogus statistics. The CDC is saying that in America, 1 in 5 women is raped.
Oh,
now,
come on.
If that were they might be studying downtown Fallujah or something. I don't think
or Chicago,
or Chicago.
Yeah.
But according to the National Crime Victimization Survey, the actual number is an order of magnitude less at the most. So you've got, in a culture where you've got, where it's permeated by lies by the media, lies by politicians, lies by academia, you're going to get a culture that says men are trash. The trouble is, the reality just doesn't match up.
All right, I got to stop you there. I've got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but come on over to thedailywire.com, and while you are there, subscribe for a lousy $10 a month, or a lousy $100 will get you a full year, plus the Leftist Tears tumbler. Everybody must have a Leftist Tears tumbler to collect their Leftist Tears. How else are you don't want to just drink them out of your hands. So come on over to thedailywire.com and subscribe. So you're saying the reality is just not there?
The reality is just not there, but it does create a pretty ugly politics when, I mean, this is a tension that goes back to the ancient Greeks. It's that we're getting a sort of Lysistrata situation. The BBC ran this interview with a few mothers, and the question was, why has feminism affected the mother-son bond? A mother was interviewed. She said she was furious because she gave her little boy gender-neutral toys, dolls to play with or this or that, but he gravitated toward the traditionally male toys, guns and army men and that sort of thing, and she's furious over this. What is she to do?
I mean, they've done a million studies about this, and kids do this without any training whatsoever. Yeah.
Of course they do. And I got to tell you, your Prager video has come out at the right time, because last year, feminism was the Merriam-Webster word of the year. This is unsurprisingly so. But I can't imagine that this can go on forever. There's got to be a turning point here, because what they're doing is they're creating this sense of panic based on lies and slander, and they're, in this case, obviously destroying a good man's reputation in Brett Kavanaugh. How long can that persist before people of good faith and reasonable people and half of the global population, those men, say, we can no longer tolerate this. This is vicious, this is vile, this is based on lies.
It's funny, I had friends who had 2 boys, and they wouldn't let them play with guns, so the boys took a piece of Wonder Bread, bit out the center, and made it into a gun and shot each other. Michael Knowles from The Michael Knowles Show, thanks so much for coming on. A great job, and I will be listening to your show later on.
Good to see you, Drew.
All right.